Hi there and welcome to this new series of videos on learning to code with Unity 3D. Now Unity 3D is an awesome piece of software. The thing you can see on your screen right now is made in Unity 3D. You can see it can do real high quality AAA games, but it's also free and you can download it from unity3d.com, the site that you can see in front of you right now, and you can get started with programming your games. Now, obviously, to give the game some kind of behaviors, you have to be able to program, and it's a bit of a steep learning curve. So this series of videos is going to try and teach you exactly how to do that. Now, once you've downloaded and installed Unity 3D from the site you just saw, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to run Unity 3D, and I'm just going to run you through some of the basics. When you go through onto Unity 3D, you'll see that there's a bunch of projects. These are all projects I've been working on recently. Obviously, you're not going to have any of those, so you're just going to have to click on New once you've created yourself an account. Making the account's a bit of a pain in the butt, but you have to go on and do it. So once you've made yourself your account, you should be faced with this window. Just pause the video if you need to and set that up now. When you're ready and you're facing this project, you can get yourself started by making a new project. So if you just click on New, and I'll run you through what you need to do. There's a few options in Unity 5.4 to making new projects. You can choose to go between a 2D or a 3D project. We're going to work on 3D just now. It's either or, it doesn't really matter, but we're going to work on some 3D stuff later, so we may as well continue with this. Unity 3D was made specifically for 3D stuff, so you can do 2D, but obviously you've still got an X or Y and a Z, so you've still got the three axes. You just hide some of that away. Make sure there are no asset packs right now. It just bloats the project up, and make sure that the analytics is off. Again, that's extra stuff that you use if you're working commercially, but you don't really need for a learning project. Now, up here is the project name, and the location that it gets put in is listed down below. This is really important in Unity. I'm going to choose, I've got my a documents folder, and I've made a Unity projects folder in here. So I've got, where are we? Unity projects. So I've got Unity projects, and all of my current projects are in here. Once you do that, it's going to put in another folder with this name, and if we call this learning to code, it's going to make this project folder for me. So I'm going to call mine learning to code 1. And then I'm going to begin the process of creating this project. Now it makes a whole lot of stuff for you. I'm just going to jump into Explorer right now so I can show you, because this is kind of important. So inside Documents, I put mine inside my Unity project folder, and we called it Learning to Code 1. So you can see that it's made a folder, Learning to Code 1. Now this is my whole project. Learning to Code 1 has assets, which is where all of my models and scripts and sounds and textures, everything will go into the assets folder. It's really important that you keep these projects separate, so that inside Unity projects is all of my other projects. If you stick another project inside the assets folder, then you're in trouble. The projects, both of them, most likely will break unless you manage to extract everything you need. So the assets folder is where all of the stuff goes, and you can do it through Unity, or you can actually drag it in, drag and drop through the Explorer. There's a library folder with a whole lot of stuff that you should not touch at for any reason. Project settings, again, do not touch, and then a temp where it will build stuff if we're doing some things. So the assets folder in your project is really important, and in order for the project to work, you need to open up. If you need to open it up again without a scene in there, you just need to open up this folder, Learning to Code, ensuring that it's got the assets, library, project settings, and temp in there. I'm going to get on with making our first piece of code. So I'll just show you to Unity 3D very briefly. You're going to learn a little bit more about the interface later on when we do some projects. Right now my job is to try and teach you how to code, but it's not a bad idea to know our way around this interface. So I'm just going to show you the assets folder that we saw earlier is actually anything that's within this is listed down in the bottom here where it says assets. Everything that's within your project is in this tab here, the project tab. All these windows can be dragged and moved around if you need to make them bigger or smaller. The hierarchy view is everything that's on your scene right now. So you can see right now there's a main camera. If I click on it, it will highlight it. There's also a directional light. You can double click on any one of these and they'll zoom into those particular objects. Anytime you have something highlighted or selected in your scene, you'll see some of its properties come up on the right hand side. Things like the position of this camera, 0, 1 and -10 in this case, the rotation and the scale of the objects, among any of the other components that they might be attached to it. Directional light here as well. You can see now you can actually change these by dragging on the actual X, Y, Z. You can type directly in. You can change any of the other properties in here, for example the intensity of the light. You'll not see much change here because there's nothing else on the scene to light, but you can change with sliders or values any of the components. That anytime it comes up here you can change it. The way scripts work is that scripts actually can access these too, and they can change them. So I don't want to drag on too long with this one, so let's create ourselves our very first script. Now if we just click on the camera, scripts have to be attached to something. So what we'll do for now is we'll just stick that, click on the camera by left clicking on it, or select the camera, and then we're going to click on add component. There's a few ways to add scripts. You can click on add component and choose new script from the drop down that comes up here, and I'm just going to call this test1. It's important if you try putting in a space, for example, you'll see that it comes up with a little warning. It's really important that these are actually classes, like variable names. I'll go into that a little bit later on, but they basically you're not allowed any spaces or special characters in here because it doesn't like them. So give it a nice descriptive name. This is just going to be actually I'm going to call it Hello World, because that's what we're going to do for our first piece of script. So I'm going to call this Hello World and then click create and add. Other ways to create scripts is to right click on the assets folder, and you can click create and choose C# script from here. Again, this is the same thing. If you create the script, it will give you initially the ability to rename that, and it's really important that you don't click off of it and then try and rename it again. You do need to give it a name that describes it. It can't have any special characters or spaces in it, just like before. So we're just going to call our first script Hello World. To get rid of these scripts as well, it's not as bad as it seems. You can right click on them and click delete and get rid of them out of your assets folder. Now if we jump back to the assets folder again, you just see right now that it's created that C# script for me. And it is in there, so you see how the link between the actual folder on your hard drive and the project inside Unity, how you can see the link between the two there. Now if you double click on Hello World, it will jump into the MonoDevelop, which is our integrated development environment for programming in C# and in Unity. Now it works really well. Looks a little bit confusing when you first come up to it. So what we're going to do is I will explain these in the next video. Let's just run a script. So what I want you to do is to find the curly brackets of the start method here, and then go between the curly brackets. So there's a curly bracket here and a curly bracket there. It highlights them. If you go between them, this means this block of code, we're going to type something in here, and I'm just going to do something really simple. I'm just going to type print, and then brackets, and then inverted commas, and then we're going to type in Hello World. close the inverted commas, make sure the brackets is there, and there is also a semicolon at the end. So make sure these curly brackets are before and after, and it's straight after the start function, and it's just print hello world. If it doesn't work for whatever reason, it's because you probably spelt it wrong, or you've forgotten the semicolon, or you've forgotten the inverted commas or the brackets. Make sure it's exactly as you see it here. And we're going to click Control, we're going to save it. Control S is a great shortcut, or click File and Save if it's not already highlighted. I've pressed Control S, so mine is already saved. Now you don't need to close MonoDevelop, you just go back into Unity. You see down the bottom right there's a little spinny thing comes up, and it just shows that it's compiling this script. And because this script is on my scene, attached to my camera, when I run, I hit play, this script will run. And if we look back at the script very quickly, inside start, it's going to do this one thing. So let's just go back to the code, hit play, and you'll see down the bottom left hand side it says hello world. Now that's a console output. It's printed out a message to the console. The console tab is right here. You'll see again it says hello world. If we clear this and run it again, you'll see up it pops. Oops, I've got this maximize on play. I'll do that again for you. So I hit play, and you'll see hello world pops up in here as it runs the game. So you have just written your first script, your first piece of C# code. In the next video I'll explain exactly what's going on, and we'll start building on those.